Hello again, it's another layout update. What I've done since the last video is I've put all this scenic flock over my custom tunnel, and I've painted the insides of the tunnel black to make it look darker as the trains go inside. And I've also come over here and started building this cliff face that runs along the side of the layout. Sort of like, well, I suppose it's not really a cliff face, it's more of a cutting really. And what I'm going to do now is hopefully do a little video to show you how I achieved the scenic flock over here. So this is the first stage. Basically the cliff face is done with car body filler put onto the newspaper, and then I've smoothed it down with a spatula and not sanded it or anything, which gives you quite a sort of rugged cliff sort of edge. Then I've painted that sort of brown colour to start with, and I'll add some highlights in later. And I've painted the areas here brown for the actual grass and stuff that's going to go down. And all the white stuff you can see on there at the moment is this stuff that I've got from Woodland Scenics. This Opie tack stuff. What it does is, well, it's basically glue, but it never actually goes off, it always stays really sticky. So what I've done is I've put it across here, and I'm just waiting for that to go off. The reason why I've used this tacky glue is because if I tried to put PVA on here and then let the flock sort of settle on that, the PVA would slowly run down the hill and it would take all my scenery with it. And as I added scenery, it would just fall down the hill, it wouldn't really stick because the PVA takes such a long time to go off. So by putting this stuff on, it goes all tacky, and then as soon as I put any scenic stuff on there at all, it all sticks to the tacky stuff, and then I can apply stuff over the top which will stay because there's already stuff there, and I can then glue it afterwards. So yeah, this is the solution I came up with, because it's so steep it'd be tricky if I just used normal glue. This is what it looks like when it's gone off, just a few white bits in there, and because it's clear that means it's now nice and sticky, ready for the scenics to be applied. I've got quite a lot of scenics with me. I've got this sort of dark green, which is just little scatter particles, and then I've got some clump foliage. It's all mixed together. That sort of makes it look like there's maybe some plants, different bushes growing, adds a bit of variation to the area. I've got the same kind of stuff, just a bit darker. Some fine turf. This is my base layer. You put this down first, which gives you sort of the basic green, and then I've got some it's not actually a quiche, but it's static grass. So these are the things I'm going to be using, and we start off with that one. Then we apply some of the chunkier stuff, maybe some of that, not too sure if I want to use that yet. And then to add a bit of variation on the last few bits, I'll use some static grass and not a quiche. Right, okay, there it is. It's the base layer. So this is the first lot that goes down. You just take a little handful and sprinkle it over where you want to go. Try not to lose too much of it. Okay, and just slowly build it up. You don't need to apply a huge amount of this, because don't forget, you'll be putting extra stuff over the top of it, like the chunky bushes and stuff. This is just to give a base layer and make it look like there's actually a base of grass on the whole thing, and not just a load of random bushes that have grown out of the ground. Right, I'll finish doing that and then we'll move on to the next bit. You can see it looks quite effective already. Yeah, you just keep building it up and keep fiddling with it and working on it, and eventually you'll get there. Right, I'll put the base layer down, so now there's actually a texture to the hill, which will hopefully help larger parts of flock and other bits and pieces I add stay where they are, and then allow me to glue them in properly later. So the stuff I'm going to be using now is this chunkier clump foliage, which will make the area look much more overgrown and more realistic, and make each part look slightly different, giving a bit of individuality to the whole thing. So I'll start putting some of that on. It's fairly simple to do. You just take a little handful of each and then sprinkle them on where you want to. You don't have to do too much again. You can see a lot of it goes down the hill, so you'll have to try and hoover some of this up later and use it again. But if I hadn't have used the tacky glue and got the first layer stuck down, I wouldn't have had much success doing much more of this. So put a bit more in up there. Okay. And then you just you keep building it up until you get something that you think you're happy with, and then you can go ahead and glue it. Right, this is the first basic layer done, so what I've got to do now is glue this sort of down, and then I can add more bits in, and because other bits have been glued in, more and more of it will stay on the hill, and eventually I'll get how much I want. But I'm pretty close to what I want to achieve. I don't think I need a huge amount more. There's going to be adding trees up here and stuff as well. So all you need to do now is just take a spray bottle that had window cleaner or something like that in it, and just fill it with water, and then just spray the area. Right, it's all nice and wet. I put bits that fell to the bottom back on, and push the bottom bits more into the cliff, because obviously you will get bushes growing around the bottom of your cliff faces. So this is just the basic scenery, and once it's all dry and glued I can add extra bits to it, larger bushes, and put in trees and stuff. So the last stage, basically, now it's all wet, is to get about a 50-50 mix of PVA glue and water, and add a dash of washing up liquid in there as well, just a tiny bit, and that helps it all soak through the scenery and glue it. And then you just use a little syringe like this to apply it in nice even amounts. You can try and use a spoon if you don't have a syringe, but it's kind of messy and you'll probably put too much glue in one area at a time. So all you do is take a lot of glue into the syringe, and then apply it to the top of the hill, and this will soak through and work its way down the hill. So you don't need to go all the way to the bottom, just a decent amount in one area. A bit down here. You can already see it starting to run to the bottom, and you just keep going until you think you've got all the areas with glue, and then once it's all dry you end up with something that looks like that over there. That said, obviously a few larger bushes added to it which can just be glued in individually, and then add some trees and stuff. I've got a couple of trees that I made earlier, so I'll do another video showing you with the trees. So that's it for now.